You know, the quality of your thinking, it literally shapes your entire life. But here's the crazy part. If you think you're smart, you might actually be the most at risk of thinking like a fool. So today, we're going to break down this incredible framework to completely upgrade your mental OS. And it all kicks off with one pretty uncomfortable question.
Yeah, this one really hits home, doesn't it? It gets right to the core of the problem. I mean, we see it all the time, right? People with genius-level IQs falling for the most obvious stuff, totally struggling in parts of their life that aren't their one special thing. It's that classic smart but dumb phenomenon, where being a genius in one thing makes you blind to everything else. So, what's the real difference between that kind of tunnel vision and, well, actual genius?
Well, what we're calling stupid thinking here is totally one-dimensional. It's all about reducing things, trying to cram every complex problem into one tiny box. It's super tribal. It only trusts one group's opinion and just stops thinking way too early. Genius thinking, though, that's something else entirely. It's the courage to actually entertain ideas that threaten your worldview. It's about a deep, genuine quest for understanding, not just feeling safe with the few facts you already know.
So how do we make that leap from stupid to genius thinking? Well, we've got to build out our mental skill tree, but in 3 dimensions. And listen, this is not about cramming more facts into your brain. No, this is about changing the very way you process reality. So let's dive in and break down the first 3 core dimensions. We're talking width, depth, and height.
All right, first up, let's talk about lines. This is basically the width of your thinking. Just think of them as all the different subjects you know something about. Could be marketing, could be astrophysics, social dynamics. Hey, it could even be knowing how to bake the perfect sourdough bread. Anytime you learn about a new topic, you're adding a new line. You're building out horizontally.
Okay, next we add levels, and this represents depth. And honestly, this is the real game changer right here. It's not about what you know anymore. It's about how you think about the things you know. We're talking about the sophistication of your mental operating system. This is your vertical development.
And we all move through these levels, right? We all start out at the instinctual level, basically just reacting to survive. Then we level up to conformist, where we follow the rules of our group without really questioning them. After that comes the individualist level. This is where critical thinking kicks in, and we start forming our own unique perspective. Go a step further, and you become a synthesist, where you realize your perspective is just one tool in a whole toolbox. And at the very top, that's the generative level. This is where you can actually create entirely new ways of seeing the world. And all of this brings us to the 3rd dimension, altitude, which is the height of our thinking. Basically, your altitude is the average of all your levels across all of your lines. Let's go back to that video game skill tree analogy. You just can't unlock, say, a level 10 skill in business if you haven't put any points into other areas like psychology or leadership. It's all connected. And that right there is why generalists so often come out on top.
I mean, Einstein absolutely nailed it with this one, didn't he? It perfectly sums up the whole idea. If you want to solve the really tough problems in your work, in your life, anywhere, you have to elevate your thinking. You've got to boost that cognitive altitude so you can finally see the solutions that were completely invisible from down below. Okay, so we've got width, depth, and height. That gives us a pretty cool 3D model of our own mind. But what if we could unlock a 4th dimension? We can, and we do it by applying the same kind of thinking to reality itself. By looking at any problem from 4 totally different fundamental perspectives. This is where you get some serious leverage.
Here they are, the 4 quadrants. Look, you can break down any situation by looking at the inner world and the outer world, from both an individual and a collective point of view. So you've got the individual's inner psychology, the group's shared culture, the individual's actual observable behaviors, and the big collective systems out there in the world. Let's walk through how you'd actually use this.
So say you're facing a problem. The first place you got to look is that individual inner quadrant. You have to ask yourself, okay, what are my hidden beliefs and emotions wrapped up in this thing, right? How is my own internal world coloring how I see this problem? This is the psychological piece.
Then you zoom out to the collective inner. Now you're asking, what are the shared cultural values here? What are the group beliefs that are pulling the strings? Think about a political debate. What are the deep-seated ideologies that are fueling each side's arguments? That's the cultural dimension.
From there, we jump over to the outer world, starting with the individual outer quadrant. This is all about what you can actually do. It's tangible. What specific behaviors can I change? What concrete steps can I take to actually make a difference? This is all about your actions. And finally, we look at the big picture, the collective outer.
What larger systems are at play here? What technologies, what social structures, what government policies are shaping this whole situation? By running your problem through these 4 quadrants, you stop seeing simple cause and effect, and you start to see the whole complex web of influences. You get a way richer, way more accurate picture of what's really going on.
But believe it or not, we can go even deeper. It's time to add the 5th dimension: time. Look, if you can grasp the major patterns of history, not just a bunch of random dates and events, you can aim your thinking with just incredible accuracy. It's like having a map that shows you not only where you are, but where you came from and where you're probably headed. So the master pattern that runs through all of history is this idea of transcend and include. It sounds complicated, but it's not. It just means that every new stage of evolution builds upon the last one. It transcends it, it's more than it, but it still includes it. Think about it. A sentence includes words, but it's way more than just a pile of words, right? A human being includes cells, but we're more than just a walking bag of cells. And if you take away the lower level, if you take the words out of the sentence, the whole thing just falls apart.
And you see this exact same pattern in how our societies have evolved. Technology drives the structure of society. It's simple, right? The hoe? That technology could support small tribes. Then came the horse-drawn plow, which created enough extra food to support massive empires. Then machine agriculture came along and gave us the modern nation-state. So, now that we have AI and computers, where do you think we're going next?
So, the big question is, how do you actually put all 5 of these dimensions to work? Well, you can use this framework to really understand where someone else is coming from in an argument, to see what worldview they're operating from. But honestly, the most powerful use for this is as a tool for self-awareness. It helps you find your own center of gravity and see with total clarity where you need to grow.
Okay, now, you could become a master of all 5 of these dimensions of thinking and still fail spectacularly, because there is one single obstacle that can completely wreck this entire system and throw you right back into that one-dimensional, stupid thinking we talked about at the beginning. And that obstacle is identity. The moment you latch onto an idea, whether it's a political party, a job title, any belief system, and you make it a non-negotiable part of who you are, you're done. You've stopped thinking. Your brain literally flips a switch from truth-seeking mode to defend the fortress mode. And this is the absolute key takeaway. If you identify as a die-hard Republican or a die-hard Democrat or anything else for that matter, you physically cannot think outside that bubble to find the real truth of a situation. Why? Because when someone challenges your idea, it feels like they're attacking you personally. And that makes real, honest, open-minded thinking totally impossible.
Look, in a world that is changing faster than ever before, being able to think clearly and in multiple dimensions isn't just some nice-to-have skill. It's an absolute requirement for success. It's why the creator of this whole framework, Dan Koe, says it so simply: those who practice thinking will win.
So I want to leave you with a question to really think about. Take a hard look at your strongest beliefs about the world, about your career, about yourself. How many of those did you actually choose consciously after really thinking it through? And how many did you just sort of inherit? Take a moment and ask yourself, which of my beliefs are truly my own?